Last summer, I went out on a date with a girl and it went fairly well, and we both agreed that we should see each other again sometime. But then, not even a week later, we were texting each other and she suggested that she come over to my place and hang out. And it's not really a big secret as to what that really means. So it was kind of a turnoff for me because I didn't really know her that well. It hadn't been that long, and I felt like I hadn't earned it. It was just being given to me for free. So ultimately, we just ended up going our separate ways. And it was through experiences like this where I either came across somebody that was impatient or I myself was the impatient one that I learned that patience truly is a virtue. So in this video, we're going to go ahead and talk about why. So I'm going to break this down into two parts. First, we'll talk about how patience improves the experience. And then in the second part, we'll talk about how it improves you as a person. So to start off, how does patience improve your experience? Well, I'd say that there are at least three different ways. It makes it more rewarding, more special, and more valuable. So how does it make it more rewarding? Well, because desire and anticipation are cultivated over time. So in other words, the longer you wait to get what you want, then the more you're going to end up wanting it. So that when you finally do get it, it just feels that much better than if it were to just be given to you in the very beginning. How does it make it more special? Well, because we don't normally wait for most things in life. So it's just another one of those characteristics that you can use to distinguish your experience or whatever it is you're going after from everything else. You can say, I had to wait so long to get this, so it's so much more special to me and more meaningful to me than everything else I've ever experienced. And finally, how does it make it more valuable? Well, because the more time you work towards getting something, the more value you are investing in it, and the more that value appreciates over time. So that when you do finally cash in, it's worth so much more than if you were to have just cashed in the very beginning. So going back to the example I cited in the beginning, had she waited just a little while longer to broach that subject, then it would have been so much more rewarding when we finally did get there, because I would have spent that whole time leading up to it just wondering whether it was even going to happen or not. And as soon as even so much as the prospect of you not getting what you want arises, then you just end up wanting it even more than if you were to just know the entire time that you were going to get it. It's human nature to want those things that we can't have. Also, it would have been so much more special and meaningful because her and I would have actually spent time getting to know each other and kind of defining this unique experience that can't be easily replicated anywhere else. And finally, it's so much more valuable because I would have actually had to spend time and effort and invest all of this into getting to that point so that I feel like I earn it instead of it just being given to me for free. So now moving on to part two, being patient just makes you a better person overall. It makes you more mature because, like I've said many times before, maturity can simply be defined as the difference between behaving like a child and behaving like an adult. And only children, whenever they identify something that they want or need, just need to have it given to them right away at all costs. And if they don't, they're just going to throw some kind of a fit. And so if you don't do that, then you're showing you can behave like an adult and you have that level of maturity. And kind of extending off of that, it also makes you more considerate because you might think that you have all these needs that need to be fulfilled, but the reality is that other people do too. But if you don't care about that, and if you can't say, you know what, I need something or I want something, but I'm going to wait for it so that somebody else can have what they want, then people are just going to think that you're selfish. Whereas if you do care about that, then they're going to respect you a lot more and they're going to reciprocate that treatment to you. So we've talked about leadership before as an example. If you have a subordinate that makes a mistake early on and you can't be patient with them and instead you just come down hard on them and make them feel really bad about themselves, then they're just going to end up discouraged and they're not going to want to do good work for you in the future. And they're probably going to think to themselves, you know what, I'm sure you've made some mistakes before too, and you were probably given some leeway, so I expect that you would give that same leeway to me. Whereas if you do treat them right, you're patient with them and you say something like, hey, you know what, it's no big deal, we'll fix it, and here's what we're going to do to fix it, and I think you can do better next time, then they're going to be a little bit more encouraged and they're going to want to do better work for you. And finally, amongst many others, it increases your ability to exercise restraint and to resist temptation. The temptation to spend money on something as soon as you set your eyes upon it, and instead save that money and invest it in something that's going to have more value in the long term. The temptation to eat whatever you want whenever you want, instead of waiting until, say, a designated cheat day at the end of the week to do that. And to resist the temptation to quit something and instead persist through adversity so that you can put up with some temporary discomfort to achieve something great. So to summarize, good things come to those who wait. The next time you want something, don't let the thought process be, I want, therefore I just must have right away. Instead, be willing to wait for it and be willing to work for it, knowing that not only is that experience going to be so much better, but you're going to be much better off as a person. So I hope this helps, and I'll see you next time.